Welcome everybody to Two Guys and a Mic. I am one of your hosts, RP.
And I'm your other host, Big Sean. It's good to be back. We haven't talked to you guys in a while, so
it's been about a week or so. Been about a little bit over a week, maybe a week and a half-ish.
With everything going on with free agency and the NCAA tournament, we thought we needed to go ahead and do a show. So here we are, and I hope you guys tune in once we go ahead and upload the episode.
Oh no, they coming. They coming. We're apparently one of the hottest commodities on the radio. It's there. It's there. Come on, bro. You see it.
But hey, it's funny that you said commodities, but us being both Sanford and Son fans, every time they ask Lamont what business he was in, he was like commodities. Like, oh, you mean junk.
We're in commodities. That's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. Only Sean. And I said it and didn't even think that. And I'm like such a doggone Sanford and Son fan. I didn't even see it. Hey, good.
Like, yeah, like we're in commodities. Oh, you must mean junk.
Love me some Fred Sanford. Love me some Lamont Sanford, man. Them cats. Them some of the funniest cats that ever existed on any show ever.
Ever. Because it was all ad-lib. It was ridiculous. Like you couldn't write the stuff they were saying. You could not write the stuff that Fred and stuff was coming off the top of his head.
I had no idea that that's what they were doing until later. Like as you watched the show when you were a kid, of course, there were shows that were being shown because it started in '72, so it was way before us.
Right.
A couple years before us. And then you start catching the reruns and you just kind of find out, man, these dudes were so brilliant. Fred was so brilliant. His the other actors on there, Bubba, LaWanda Page, all these, shout out to LaWanda Page, she's from Cleveland, by the way, Aunt Esther. All of that, they were just playing off of each other. And
they would do it, they would ad-lib without laughing.
And that's what I'm saying, bro.
And here's the difference, because Martin would do the same thing. They would ad-lib.
Them dudes would be cracking up.
But they would start, so you could tell they were ad-libbing, they would start laughing out of nowhere.
They would be cracking up. But Fred and them would keep these regular faces and they would stay in character and they would just that banter back and forth. I wish I could have been in the live audience to see how that actually played out, because some stuff got cut. Some stuff got cut when it came out to the actual show, the 30-minute show that made it to the air. But let's go on ahead and let's get into some of these sports situations. As you guys can see, I'm in full regalia of Ohio State. I got Ohio State behind me. I got Ohio State on my head. So, of course, we know that the tourney is happening. The NCAA March Madness is popping for the first time in 2 years or a year and a half, however you want to look at it. Because the last time that it happened was in 2019. Last year it was canceled. Who would have ever thought that would have happened? But we're back up and running. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. However, why don't we start with our bread as well as our butter and get into some of this free agency in the NFL? Because it's been pretty interesting, actually. We've been seeing some things happen that has made us, especially as Browns fans, made us a little bit giddy. Going into this offseason, we knew what our issues were. Some of our issues, most of our issues, damn near all of our issues came on defense.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've been doing this, and by we, I mean Sean and I. We've been doing this for a long time, since we were like 10, 12, 13-year-old kids. Literally. And if people don't want to believe us, but the truth is, we've been doing this for a long time. Watching the Browns and scouring the newspapers back in those days, and watching ESPN, trying to figure out who the Browns were going to sign, et cetera, as the years have gone on. We've always understood who are and what our parts of the team, those certain parts of the team that you needed to improve on. The Browns have a history of not giving two shits about the side of the ball that they need to improve on. So there's been years when we needed defensive improvement, and they've just ignored the defense. There's been years we have had offensive issues, and they've just ignored the offense.
Or the other thing they've been known to do is overpay for guys because nobody wanted to come here, so they would overdo it, like bringing Willie McGinnis.
Absolutely, Big Willie,
people like that.
Bringing Big Willie style in here with his 37-year-old ass, and overpaying him. And guess what? He ain't finna play that hard.
No.
So you're absolutely right. And those are the issues that us old school Browns fans, we've carried those issues. We've dealt with those issues. It's driven us crazy. But I'm gonna tell you something. Our issues, as I just spoke on, have been on defense, and Andrew Berry has addressed them. It's crazy to watch a team be competent, and that team is the Browns, and they're just competent and making
right. And on top of that, he's doing it smartly. Now, a lot of Browns fans are upset that we didn't make like the big splash, like getting a pass rusher or anything like that. But first of all, before we get into that, let's just talk about the guys that we signed. So we signed John Johnson III.
Absolutely.
Who at first, when we signed him, I'm like, who is this guy? Then once I figured, I was like, okay, I remember him. He just wasn't a big name. I was like, okay, dude has been, I looked him up. He's been a 3-year starter.
He's thorough.
Veteran. Right, exactly. Solid. Troy Hill, I was familiar with. I was like, okay, that's an excellent pickup. Solid vet, been in the league for about six years.
Yep.
Solid vet. I do know about him. Tapp McKinley, I was like, okay, that's a project.
That's a project.
He's a project. If he busts out, that's not going to really
but it's only
affect
1 year.
One way or the other.
It's only 1 year.
Malik Jackson, I was like, okay, that's solid. And I'm noticing what a lot of teams are doing, and I think the Browns kind of set this precedent last year, is signing guys to 1-year deals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, we'll sign to a 1-year deal. That means that we're not tied to you. If you're effective and you play well,
and then maybe we'll give you a 3-year contract.
Maybe we'll bring you back. And that's what they did with Malcolm Smith. Right. I don't have a problem with that. I was like, okay, Malcolm Smith is a veteran, solid guy. You need him, as far as depth in the linebacking core. Cool, bring him back. So I think the Browns have been very strategic and smart. They're not overpaying guys. A lot of the pass rushers we wanted, like what was the guy, Lawson from Cincinnati.
The guys that we wanted to just
they got big money. Right.
Guys that sounded good as you brought their names up. Oh, we signed Carl Lawson. We signed, whoever else was out there that we thought in our own minds. Hell, we had a bunch of veteran guys that we kept hearing being overplayed. Richard Sherman, before he got picked up by Arizona, J.J. Watt. We just kept hearing like these big splash names. But the truth is, as Sean has pointed out, there's certain things that you don't always need those guys to make your team better. You need solid ball players. And I'll tell you what the Browns think. As Sean pointed out, there's some guys that are on this team. Most of these guys only got like a 1-year deal. But then you turn around and you look at a guy like Troy Hill, who got a 4-year deal. You turn around and look at a John Johnson III, who got a 3-year deal. These are guys that the Browns already believe in.
Right.
And if you go back, once again, this is how great our show is. If people don't give us the credit that we should get, that's okay, because we're going to get it. We talked about this months ago. Sean, if you recall, remember I told you that Andrew Berry is an analytics guy, and I think he's going to run free agency as an analytics person.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to spend all that money. He's not going to just go out there and wildly throw money around. He's going to think all the way through this entire process. He's not trying to waste any money because it's analytics for him from start to finish.
And on top of that, the Browns have a core group of players that will take us to the next level. That being Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett.
Yep.
I'm gonna throw Juice in there too, because Juice's contract is coming up in about a year or two.
Yeah,
and you have to. Yep, and you're gonna have to extend these guys. I'm gonna throw Denzel Ward.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And you're gonna have to extend these
guys.
guys.
Pay these guys. Now, Myles, you can take Myles off of that because Myles just got his extension.
Myles has been paid. So if you start just throwing money wildly at these other guys, you're not gonna have enough money to extend your core guys.
You're not gonna take care of those core guys. Yep.
Malcolm Smith mentioned something after he signed his deal. He said the organization is about continuity. That okay, when he said when he got to Cleveland last year, the system was new. We had a bunch of new guys here on defense. They had no idea really what was going on. It took them a while throughout the season to kind of learn the process. He's like, now coming back, we're bringing most of the same guys back with a few tweaks here and there. Now it's not so new. We know what Joe Woods expects of us. We know what the system is. So what the Browns did, you plug in a few guys here and there. Now, were we ecstatic with Mac Wilson and Taki? No. Did we see flashes of what they could be? Yes. Now, so I think just guessing what the Browns' philosophy is, look, we drafted these guys. We've invested in these guys. We have to coach these guys up. So, what's his name? Phillips, the linebacker.
Yep.
Elliott, defensive lineman. Porter Gustin. Remember, we signed Andrew Billings last year for Cincinnati. Was supposed to be a big part. He opted out. He's coming back. Grant Delpit, who we drafted, is coming back fully healthy. And Greedy Williams is coming back fully healthy. I think what the Browns' philosophy is, look, instead of going out and spending XYZ dollars on these other guys, we need to coach up the guys that's here. If you guys are worth your salt, we got guys that are talented. Coach them up. We got it now. It's no excuse. You're going to have a full. I don't know what the new CBAs are doing, like OTAs and all of that, but you're going to have an off season. You're going to have a full training camp and all in preseason. So they're like, look, let's coach the guys up that we have here. Like Mac Wilson is a guy where you see the talent, you see the speed, you see the aggression. His technique is just terrible.
Awful.
It's awful. You know what I'm saying? So you got to coach that guy up. Now, if he doesn't work out, it is what it is, but you see the talent. So I know a lot of people were upset that we did not sign a bunch of big names, but when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? The Browns have a lot of untapped talent that we already have here. Let's get these guys coached up and get these guys confident to start, realizing what their potential is.
But that's, again, let's be all the way honest. That, again, goes right back to what we were saying, or what I was saying a little bit earlier, which is this is a different Browns front office. We're used to the front offices that don't get it. This front office is actually saying, listen, we could sign these big names and overpay or compete with these other teams. And listen, you know me, I would love to have gotten a Levante David and all these guys. I would have loved it. However, the steadfastness of this front office and knowing what we've done already going into like last season and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I'll stand down and I'll listen to what you guys have to say, because that means that they believe in the guys that they drafted. That means that they believe in some of the other guys that are already on the team. They didn't go out and overdo anything. None of the guys that they signed seems like a reach. None
Right,
of it.
exactly.
Like, none of it. Nothing seems like a reach. It all seems like it just fits. John Johnson, when I watched, because I knew who he was, I didn't know, like, okay, well, why the hell? My problem, I wouldn't even say my problem, but when I saw that he signed for a 4-year deal, I said to myself, oh, they must really believe in this guy. So why? Why do we believe in this guy this much? Let me go look. I watched this guy cover because he had to see this guy twice. Kittle, one of the better tight ends. Like, this dude covered every tight end. Kels twice a year. So guess what you're gonna have to get to a Super Bowl? You're gonna have to deal with some team with a really good tight end, some team with a really good middle of the field game, whether it's running, damn sure covering, and we don't have anybody that can cover and plays instinctively. This dude plays instinctively. He tackles well. He's always where he needs to be. When I started to put that whole play together, I said, yep, that's it. That's why they gave him a 4-year deal. Because he's going to come here, figure this defense out, and continue to be kind of what he's already been, but be that within what we already do. And then getting Troy Hill, I won't even call him a homeboy, but he's from Ohio. So coming here, playing here, he's close to home. He's got his family here, his extended family here, and being able to play with a guy he already knows about. So maybe he's in the slot. I'm like Sean, and Sean has said this multiple times. I've said it multiple times. Our show is fully behind. Two Guys in the Mic is fully behind this statement. We don't really have a lot of faith in Greedy Williams right now because he ain't done nothing. We're waiting, and we hope that he shows us that. But I'm like, people are already giving Greedy Williams the starting spot. Why?
No. Matter of fact, I would say that Troy Hill has that spot, and Greedy Williams has to compete.
Thank you, Sean. Because
Troy Williams, Troy Hill has proved himself. Like he's one of those guys like Ed Reed in a sense where he's like a ball hawk.
Yeah.
And I noticed that just watching the Rams play, like that guy was making, hella plays. Like he had 3 return touchdowns on defense, like two pick six,
4. Or was it 4?
Fumble return, something like that.
But you're right. And I knew it. That's what I'm saying. Like, man, we've talked about Greedy Williams on this show. We ain't going in super depth because we didn't have to. We both feel the exact same way. Listen, Greedy Williams is a guy that has a crap ton of talent, but he hasn't shown us a single solitary thing.
Like the book on Greedy Williams when he came out of school was that he doesn't like to hit. Like he had that Deion Sanders tag on him. Like he's fast, he can cover, but he doesn't like to hit. So now, he got some competition. So now Greedy,
and that's why I think that's going to be really
because good. I know Greedy felt some type of way when they made that sign. It was like, y'all don't trust me. So now, how are you going to react to that? Are you going to step up and compete, or are you going to fall back and give up?
Right.
You know, that's what it's about.
And what's gonna happen, Sean, or what could happen, or what do we think is gonna happen if Hill becomes the starter opposite of Denzel, and they move Greedy to the slot? Does he start playing like crap, or does he just buy into?
Because really, if you think about it, in the secondaries nowadays, it's not like it was back in the day. Just because you don't start, don't mean that you're not going to get hella playing time.
No.
Offenses,
right. Yeah.
right? Because offenses are coming out here with 3, 4, 5 receiver sets, or tight end sets. So
on first down, they coming out on first down.
On first down, yeah. So just because technically you aren't the starter doesn't mean that you're not going to get ticked. Right. So you got to keep your head in the game. Like you going. So Greedy Williams is going to get playing time, regardless of if he's the starting corner or
especially if he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's going to be on the field. I mean, if we're playing Terrence Mitchell and Andrews and Deho in our defensive backfield, you getting time, bro.
Right. And shout out to Money Mitch. He signed with who? He signed with the Jets or somebody, so he's out of here.
Yeah. I think he did.
He signed with somebody, but shout out to
not a bad. Listen, man, my brother, a show friend, Donnie didn't particularly care for T. Mitch, but I didn't think he was awful. I just thought he was out of place, right? Because he had to be the starter, and I don't think that's what we brought him on board.
Right,
and that's
exactly
where I've always been. That's a position that I've always held. In terms of certain guys on the defense, we got guys out of position, so to speak. And by out of position, I don't mean that they're safeties playing corners. I don't mean that they're defensive linemen playing linebackers. I just mean there are specific packages, and you bring in guys thinking that these guys are the specific parts of this package. I think T. Mitchell's one of those guys. I think he got caught up in that. What's his name? Kevin Johnson was another one. He wasn't supposed to start. He wasn't supposed to play as much as he did. He wasn't awful, but he wasn't supposed to play as much as he did in the positions. Like
our defense was kind of like ragtag, and
ragtag in the mud. And Sean, listen, nope, Sean. I'm not gonna allow you to do no ragtag. I'm going to actually use a Sean Davis special. That doggone defensive backfield was raggedy.
Yeah, raggedy. Exactly. But here's something I wanted to, I thought about this earlier today, right? Like legacy players. And this is where I was thinking about, who do we extend as our core group moving forward, trying to win a championship.
Okay.
And so you think about, since the Browns have come back since 1999, we've probably only had 3 legacy players. I mean by legacy players, somebody that's been here like between 8 to 10 years and played at a high level. If we only had 3 of those guys, that being Joe Thomas, Josh Cribbs, and Phil Dawson. And when you really think about that, that's like it's ridiculous.
It's awful.
Maybe you could throw guys like maybe Kevin Johnson, the receiver, but maybe. I like KJ. KJ was slow as molasses,
but he
played hard,
and he did what he had to do. He was worth it. KJ,
Kevin Winslow the second, he didn't play long enough to put in that category. Braylon Edwards, he didn't play long enough to put in that category. And there's nobody on defense.
Vicious, he wasn't long enough.
Yeah, you're right. They weren't here like nobody on defense. So now you think about it, the longest tenured Browns.
No, DeQuell was here for a long time, and DeQuell played well. DeQuell just wasn't.
He just wasn't that dude. He was all right.
Yeah.
So now, when you think about it, the longest tenured Browns are Joe Bitonio, Myles Garrett,
right,
and Rashard Higgins.
That's crazy.
It's crazy when you think about that.
That's
So
crazy.
now that's why I think the Browns have been so not so eager to spend on offer. Because one thing we did it last year, when you brought in Jake Conklin, you brought in Austin Hooper, you signed Carl Joseph, JoJo Natson, all those guys to 1-year deals. So now it's like, why, okay, and they brought some of those guys back. They brought JoJo Natson back. I'm fine with that. 1-year deal, ain't no big deal. Malcolm Smith, 1-year deal, no big deal. But now you have to think about like your core. It's a certain guys like Juice.
Like who you are, like what?
Yeah, right.
Both sides of the ball. You
Like,
gotta have
right.
Right.
Right, because Baltimore and Pittsburgh, it's much like Pittsburgh was shuffle guys in and out. But you knew that Jerome Bettis, Big Ben, Hines Ward,
Heath Miller. You knew all those guys was coming
Hayward.
back.
Right. Those guys were there for at least like 7-8 years. You know what I'm saying? And we have to start building that. So that's why I was fine with the Browns not just throwing money at guys. Like, we need to focus on our core. Like so when Juice's contract comes up, I want Juice back. Now, does Juice put up big numbers? No, but Juice, his heart and soul, his leadership.
Listen,
we need
Juice,
that.
Juice is our Hines Ward.
Right. Exactly.
He's the heart and soul of what Hines Ward was the heart and soul of what Pittsburgh did. And I remember he had a contract dispute. And I just kept saying to myself, there's no way these dudes ain't going to sign him back. And the fact that they signed him back like 2 years straight, because he had a 1-year deal and they came back again. They signed him to a 2-year deal after that. What I said after that was, this lets me know a lot about Hines Ward because Pittsburgh don't do that kind of stuff. You have to have your guys there, though. Because Hines Ward was there through Santonio Holmes, who was way more skilled than he was. He was there with Plaxico.
He was there with Antonio Brown too.
Way more skilled than he was. He was there with AB, who was way more skilled than Hines Ward, but who had their entire career in Pittsburgh. Only one dude. Only one of those dudes I just named. So you have to have that guy. Remember when that guy was Ozzie Newsome? Remember when we thought that guy was Bernie Kosar? When you come in, you had Clay Matthews. You understood, I got to answer to these guys. We may not like Ray Lewis, but guess what? You knew if you went to Baltimore during the late 90s into the 2000s, you already knew.
So their core was Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jamal Lewis.
Yep.
So that's only. So you said that's only 4 guys,
but you gotta have
that
it.
Was their heart and soul of that team.
But you got
everybody else revolved around it. We need that.
You gotta have.
So my thing is Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb.
Our guys are starting to become that. Yep.
Yeah, we need those guys to be that core.
Everybody else is expendable at a certain point, and I think we're building that. And we agree. We're not.
So Myles Garrett too. My bad, Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
he's in that.
And I think they showed that with that huge ass contract that Myles got last year.
So I'm saying to say this. So look, as much as we love Rashard Higgins, this is probably Rashard Higgins' last year with the Cleveland Browns.
Could be.
And the reason why I say that,
he better have a great year.
Yeah, because he's going to have a good year. And a good year for Rashard Higgins will be about 50 to 55 receptions, about 750 yards, which now he'll probably get, because the coaches trust him now. That means he ain't going to be on the practice squad starting the season or in the doghouse. He's going to be here, and him and Baker have that relationship. So what's going to happen is the Browns are like, okay, we're already paying Odell and Landry $15 million. We can't pay Rashard Higgins. Somebody's going to overpay for Rashard Higgins at some point and realize his value. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's why you got to have your core guys, because guys like Richard or whoever, they're going to come and go, especially with the way that the salary cap is set up now. And you got guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones who's going to emerge. The Browns actually tendered Kadero Hodge, and people are like, wow. I like Kadero Hodge because does he have a lot of catches? No, but when they throw the ball to him, he catches.
He usually makes some catches.
He makes the catch when you throw the ball to him. That's all I ask for. They throw you the damn ball, catch the damn ball.
What else do you want? That's what I want my receivers to do.
As much as we love Hollywood at some point is going to cash out. And you got to let him go ahead and
As he should. As he should. And again, I'm not calling him to ask Hollywood until they do some Hollywood type stuff. But
I like Rashard Higgins, man. You know why I like Rashard?
Listen, let me be clear. I like Rashard Higgins too. If you guys go back and listen, I wanted Rashard Higgins this season. And if you go check the IG and Facebook, guess what I said when I found out on last what was that? I think that was last Saturday when I found out. I'm sorry, not Saturday. Last Tuesday that he signed with the Browns. I'm like, man, that's perfect because of his relationship with Baker and because I actually like the dude. I'm just not calling him Hollywood yet. I don't know what he's done to give himself Hollywood. I've seen the runway touchdowns that they, when he scores a touchdown and then they go, Baker rolls up and takes the picture of him as he's walking down the red carpet. I get it. I need to see more of that if that's what we're going to do and if that's what we're going to call you. You can't
He reminds me of Higgins is like Brian Brennan from back in the day.
You think Brian Brennan, you know who I was going to say? I'm going to be honest. I was going to say Langhorne.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Because Langhorne was a dependable guy. And we expected, now the difference between the two is Langhorne was a number 2 for real. Like he was a full-fledged number 2 who could have been a number 1. I remember when he went to Indianapolis, they kind of made him like a number 1-ish type of guy. But when he was here, he was as dependable. Now, he couldn't catch shit when he was wide open. Now, if you put 8 people on him, he catching that ball.
Right.
He catching that ball. And he's going to run it for 85 yards.
You know what's crazy? Because back then, we were young. We were, preteens and teenagers.
Right.
During the Browns' heyday. And, you would think that those guys played for the Browns forever. And they didn't. It was really only like about a 5-year, 6-year stretch. It wasn't really that long. I think Langhorne was here until 92, 93. Slaughter left and went to the Oilers.
Metcalf left.
San Diego. Metcalf left and played for about 3-4 other teams after that.
Went to San Diego, went to Atlanta.
Right.
Like you just
matter of fact, like when Metcalf went to Atlanta, man, he got the hell off. Listen, he had a couple of years. We had 100 years of receptions.
He went to that running gun. He was down there with Blandfield. And they just lit his career up. And I just used to watch him and I say to myself, that's exactly what nobody, Bud Carson couldn't do it. None of these guys could figure out what to do with Metcalf.
But the thing I love about Metcalf does not acknowledge San Diego or Atlanta. He's like, I'm a Cleveland Brown.
He doesn't. He says he's a Cleveland Brown. He's been on, this year, he was on the pregame for the Browns pregame on 19.
Right.
On 19. So as a guy that loves the crap, that's my favorite Brown ever. I love Bernie, I love Webb, but man, when Metcalf came, it just changed everything for me. He was a little guy, 5'10", who just changed everything. And I'm 5'10", just changed everything for me. Made me think that my childhood thought of being a Browns player that could change the Browns could happen. It made me feel that way, and that's why he's one of my favorites. So while the free agency period is not over, and there's still a number of people out there that could be picked up. I think as we've had this discussion, and Sean could chime in or tell me I'm right or wrong after I make this statement. I think we both agree, or at least I feel like we both agree, that the Browns are approaching this very smartly. We thought that they would. We thought that they would. Andrew Berry's doing a really good job.
If you notice, they didn't sign anybody on offense.
And listen, what did I start this out with? Talking about what we know we need.
Right.
We know we need this on defense. And this dude just went out and got defense. That lets me know that these guys at least have a thought.
And what will happen at some point, either through the draft or still doing free agency, we'll sign an offensive lineman for depth because we need that. We lost Kendall Lamb, so we need somebody to replace him. Yeah. You'll see little stuff like that.
I think they're going to pick up another cornerback too.
Yeah, so the draft will really tell you what the Browns' mentality is, because now it's like, okay, we got talent. So how are we
in the draft? What is our position? Are we like 20? I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was gonna say I think we're like 25, 26.
Yep. 26. Which is unusual for us. Usually we pick it in the top 5. So we ain't gonna know how to act.
Top 5 and the top 15.
We ain't gonna be picking to about 12:30. At 12:30 in the morning. Right. The draft time. And the draft is actually in Cleveland this year, which is exciting. We got lots of stuff going on. We got that coming up. We got the NBA All-Star game. That's going to put us on the map. So now it's going to be interesting to see how they, with COVID and whatnot, and that's coming up in April. How will the governor allow us to celebrate this or attend?
Do right. Put your mask on, people. Please appease the daddy governor of Ohio. Please and thank you.
I'll call him Emperor Palpatine. That's what all he needs is a damn black robe. That wrinkled ass face. Like the Force, strong.
Not Emperor Palpatine, dog.
Emperor Palpatine.
All he needs is the hooded. He just need put your hood on, right?
The Force is strong in there.
The Force is strong.
Right.
Yeah. But I think the Browns are doing a good job overall. I give them an A. I was just checking a little while ago before we went on the air. CBS has given us an A, which is crazy because CBS never gives the Browns an A on anything.
And now that's scary, man, because every time people get on our bandwagon and give us credit, that's when we start messing.
I'm just saying, I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree. So when I saw it, I said to myself, wait a minute, what's this? Because CBS never gives us an A, no matter what we do, and no matter how. I remember when we drafted Myles Garrett, they gave us a B on that draft because they thought we needed other pieces and parts.
Right. Like, that's what I'm saying. I like it better when they diss us. I'm more comfortable with the national media ranking on us and
the fact that they gave us, listen, when I saw that A, I was like, oh, snap. That's crazy.
Right.
But maybe we live up to the A. Maybe we live up to the A finally.
Yeah,
finally.
I mean, look, man, Troy Hill and John Johnson, we didn't give them a boatload of money. We didn't back up the breast truck. We gave them a nice
still gonna be nice next year, going into next year. Which lets me know that they're not gonna pay everybody this year, by the way. That's what that said to me.
So I'm excited about next season, man. Look, I'll follow on Instagram NFL Throwback. You follow NFL Throwback?
I do.
Right. You know what gets me jacked up is when you watch those old highlights, you hear the fans, the roar of the crowd.
How crazy everybody would get.
Yeah, and it makes you miss that atmosphere. So I think we kind of got used to the fans not being there. But when I go back and watch those clips,
But
it's like, man, like I miss that.
that has always been our argument, though, bro. Because for you guys who may not know, I've been a season ticket holder. Sean's uncle was a season ticket holder, and that's how we got into the building a lot of times before I became a season ticket holder. And then Sean and his pops had season tickets after I was already out as a season ticket holder. So we've been doing this for a long time. Everybody, I just want to give some clarity. We don't just make this stuff up. We've been in those buildings, in this particular building that's down there on West 3rd, the what used to be called the Factory of Sadness and all that stuff. We've been there a ton of times. We've been there for bad games. We've been there for awful games. We've also been there for some really good games. We've been doing this for a long time. We ain't just making this stuff up. But to be there and to understand what we used to see back in the day, we weren't even in the building some of the times, but you could hear it through your TV. You could feel the energy that the dog pound was giving off back in '88.
Yeah, like back before everybody went to the silent count and had the earpieces in the ear. Yeah. Like our crowd would be so loud
inside your helmet as a quarterback.
Yeah, you remember there was a rule back in the day for a minute, for about a year or two, that they were penalizing the home team for the crowd being too loud. So all the quarterback from the post team had to do was like, well, I can't hear, and the referee will stop the game and try to make the crowd quiet down.
And we
wasn't having none of it.
And here's something that everybody doesn't know. You know the little hike step that every quarterback does now? You know who originated that?
Bernie Kosar.
Yeah. Bernie Kosar was the hike step. Just step up, and that would start the count for when I told you to count.
Yeah, because he had to do it. He had to do it in Cincinnati and Houston back in the day. Because it would be so loud in the House of Pain back in the old Astrodome.
Yep.
And you had to go to a silent count because couldn't hear nothing.
We knew it going in, and Bernie was like, nah, I know a way around that. I could just hike my leg up, and when Mike Babb would look back, he knew.
Absolutely right.
Boom. So we started that. Now you see everybody do it. Now it's just a regular part of
NFL like crowd noise ain't really that big a part of the game now. They plan for it. But back in the 80s, when crowd noise became an issue, oh man, like your crowd could disrupt the whole team's offense because they couldn't hear the snap count back in the day.
Yeah, because you couldn't hear anything. And there was no helmet.
There was no microphone back then.
So you can't just like wait till they speak into your ear. You had to be an on par, guys like Phil Simms, Boomer Esiason, Bernie Kosar, Troy Aikman, Joe Montana, John Elway. All these guys played, Randall Cunningham. All these guys played in the crowd noise without anybody in their headsets helping.
Yeah, there were stadiums that you didn't want to go into because you knew, like Old Mount High in Denver was one of them. Philly old vet stadium.
Veteran stadium. You ain't want to go there.
You ain't want to go there.
Go to the jungle. You didn't want to go to the jungle.
No, Cincinnati back in the day, no.
You didn't want to go there because you wasn't gonna be able to hear nothing. Three River Stadium, you wasn't gonna be able to hear nothing. So
that's what made it so fun. Because look, I don't want to be the old guy, but like everything was better in our day, because it wasn't.
It wasn't. Not all of it.
But it was just different because the competitive nature, the hatred. Like when you went into Cincinnati, into the jungle, or Pittsburgh, and you beat them, and you go to school the next day, because you knew it was some random Pittsburgh or Bengals fans or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You were like, yeah, we went in y'all place
and beat
the hell out of y'all.
And beat y'all.
Exactly.
Like everything. Like you're not a part of a game per se, but you feel like you're a part of a game now. Now you
Right.
feel like as you going through the lunch line and you wait on that dude to come out that door, you sitting there like, yeah, G, did you buy me a pizza?
And then like when you watch Merrill Hodge, when Merrill Hodge used to be on the ESPN pregame shows back in the day, he was like, man, he was like, when the schedule came out, we circled Cleveland twice because that was our rival. And he was like, we used to love going into Cleveland. He was like, man, because the stadium was crappy. The locker room be flooded out. It's rats.
And
they all types of crazy stuff.
He swears that they would turn off the hot water. There was no hot water in the building. Right. There was nothing to speak of. He would just swear like, man, they would turn off all the hot water. No, it was cold water. And listen, that stadium was a piece of crap. And we would go as fans to that stadium, and they had the trough urinals. So you got like 37 dudes.
It wasn't no J, it was the damn latrine. Like you was the military. That's what it was. You slide, like you would literally walk in the bathroom and slide on pee.
You got 57 dudes standing at this big ass tub that you're supposed to pee in. You know, and I'm like at the time I'm like 8 or 9. I could barely get my junk over the top of this thing, but I'm supposed to pee inside of this thing with all these grown people standing right next to me, by the way.
Right.
And nobody was supposed to be upset or put off or felt like, oh man, this ain't right. I was the only dude.
Listen, America, we were not exaggerating. You walk into the bathroom, you were literally ice skating on pee.
First of all, you're ice skating.
At the old stadium smelled like pee, beer, and peanuts.
Coming in the gates, by the way, not even in the bathroom. Listen, shout out to Cleveland Municipal Stadium. I love that place. I love the advantage that we had because of that place. But what a piece of crap.
And it was even worse for baseball.
I ain't mad at Art Modell for because he wanted to get out of that shithole. I can't be mad at him for wanting to get out of that shithole. However, he owned that shithole, which means that he's a slumlord. He's an awful. It's his fault. It's his own fault. And the Indians.
And think about it, man. Like you could buy a beer for 75 cents. That was like just be like what basically the equivalent of a 7-Eleven, what you call it, go cup.
Super big gulp.
It's a big gulp. Yeah, that's right. 75 cents. Beer.
Man, I wish now you got me wishing I had changed my background when I had Municipal Stadium. I got a background with Municipal Stadium behind.
Man, like this is no lie. There was a guy that in the dog pound, he would bring a dog house to the game every week and had kegs of beer in the dog house. And he would like service the whole whatever section that he was in. Everybody drank for free in that section, and nobody cared.
That's something that we missed.
Us, man.
We missed that now. Like, I remember being in the stadium and my dad told me, yo, you're going to hear some stuff today. My dad used to cuss at me, like, regularly, not like random cuss, like damn and hell. I mean, my dad used to cuss. So he would cuss. And every summer, our football team would go to the stadium for like this free game because we played football. And he would say to me, like, imagine your dad says stuff to you on a regular, like, you know, motherfucker, and this, that, and the other. And then he turns to you and says, hey man, you're gonna hear some stuff in here that you ain't never heard before. Where are we going?
Man, my uncle would tell me the same thing. Because they smoking weed. They was doing whatever up in there, man. The dog pound was like lawless. Nobody cared. It was
completely and totally crazy.
Man, I saw a Pittsburgh fan get picked up and thrown like 3 rows down, like literally picked up and tossed, and nobody did shit. Matter of fact, they keep the Pittsburgh fan out the game, and he didn't even do nothing.
Listen, who's gonna say something? Nobody.
Right.
Like the one thing I always enjoyed about going to the old stadium is the sense of unity amongst
Right.
every race, every culture, every creed. We didn't care what God you were serving on Sunday. As long as that guy had on the Browns jersey, we didn't care.
Because one thing about Cleveland back then in the 80s, it was a huge divide between East Side, West Side.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
That people don't like to talk about nowadays or act like it didn't exist.
Yeah.
But when you got to Cleveland Municipal Stadium and you there with them people from other side, did nobody care at that
was
point
the
in time?
meeting point. That was the meeting point that made these two things do this.
Right.
As long as you were there to root for the Browns, or because that also used to house the Indians, if you were there to root for the Indians, everybody was fine. And you just hear that in some of the old videos that we look at. You didn't have to be in the building. You could feel the energy from far away. We grew up in a suburb outside of Cleveland, Sean and I did, and you could feel it like 20 miles away. You could feel it.
I remember just saying how, like if you weren't going to the game, especially like in the summertime when the Indians were playing, and you were kind of like certain points in the city, you could be 10 miles outside of downtown in Cleveland, but you can look down, like if you were like on the hill, you could look down and see downtown.
Yep, see downtown.
And you will see the stadium lit up with the lights, and you would know something, you knew something was going on.
It's one of the best views you ever saw in your life.
Right.
One of the best views. You come across Valley View Bridge and you look downtown and you see those lights coming off Jacobs Field, the big toothbrush lights, and it's all lit up, and you know where those lights are coming from. Listen, man. I love that whole backdrop. I love my city. I love my sports teams. I'm so happy and grateful to have grown up in Cleveland. All the years that I even kind of dogged certain teams in Cleveland, it's all been forgiven. I love my city, dog, and I'll never attempt to represent anything short of this city and this state, even though there's times I wish I wasn't from Ohio because there's people.
And speaking of that, man, just switching gears a little bit, I want to give a shout out to Joe Tate. Joe Tate recently passed.
Yeah, for sure.
Joe Tate is a Cleveland legend. He was the broadcaster for the Cavaliers for over 40 years.
Yep, almost the whole time. Almost the whole time.
The most well-respected commentator, radio broadcasters in history of the game. I think because he was in Cleveland, he didn't get the credit that he deserved. Now, when you're in most cities, most broadcast groups are within twos. Joe Tate did the game by himself. One man show.
There was no color guy. He was the color
guy. Color guy. He was the guy, and he painted the picture.
He was the play-by-play and color guy.
He painted the picture of the game that you felt like you were
at. And on the radio, by the way, bro. Remember, he used to do the TV stuff back in the 43.
He did the Indians on TV too.
Yeah, like Joe was the guy, man. And my shout out. I apologize for not even bringing that up, but hey, man, much love, much respect to Joe Tate. To his
Joe
family.
Tate is a Cleveland staple. I remember
he's a Cleveland icon, man.
Like back in the day before they would show every game on television, a lot of the games the Cavs would play on the West Coast, they wouldn't show. Or even if they did, my parents wouldn't let me stay up. So it was times when I had to sneak and listen to the games at night. And it was me and Joe Tate.
I would fall asleep
in the game.
Joe Tate calling the game in LA. I would fall asleep listening to Joe Tate call a game.
Yep.
I would fall asleep listening to Joe Tate call a game in Seattle. I would fall asleep.
Exactly.
And that's my dedication to sports, but that's also Joe Tate's dedication to those same sports.
Cleveland has had some of the greatest radio guys in history. And the reason why I say that, because I don't say that just because I'm a homer. I'm from Cleveland. I listen to other broadcasts. That's the kind of person I am. I'll tune in to Pittsburgh. I'll tune in to LA Chicago or whatever.
Chicago's had some pretty good ones, and Detroit did too, but
Chicago was good. Right.
None of them were like St. Louis baseball and Chicago baseball were really good.
They're really good. But what's happening now in the modern era of radio, even television, they're cookie cutters. They're factory producing these guys.
Yeah, they're not.
They don't have any personality or anything. Now, Tom Hamilton, I loved Hammy. You don't like Hamilton?
We're not gonna do that tonight. Go ahead.
What about Herb Score back in the day? You don't like Herb Score either?
Herb Score wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. No, he wasn't.
But all right, but you had, Nev Chandler.
I love Nev, actually. I actually love Nev.
Right. And Jim Donovan, I think, is excellent.
I love Jim Donovan. Jim is just, I think I love him because he just exudes what we are in the city.
Exactly. He's been in the market for a long time. Now what's your problem with Tom Hamilton?
I just think to me, I think Tom Hamilton is just a little bit over the top. I just think he's over
now. That I will give you this, because Tom Hamilton wants to have that signature call.
I think so too, and that's what
he'll go overboard on a routine fly ball.
I think
thinking that it's going, to just, I get what you're saying.
But I got nothing for that. I'm like, you reaching, bro. That was a regular play.
That aside, just calling the game. You know what I'm saying? As far as painting a picture, I think he's fine.
I'm not gonna do no, and that's why I said I'm gonna let it go, because I don't want to make it sound or seem like I'm hating, because I'm not really hating on the dude. I'm just like, nah. You do too much. You say too much, and that's a regular situation, man. Like you know what? I get it. You came in after certain guys. I'm gonna tell you who I think is really good. Michael Regai was really good.
Oh, Regai was Michael Regai.
I really like.
You know why? But you know why he got let go.
I know why he got let go.
For one thing, Dan Gilbert was friends with Fred McLeod.
That's why he got let go. That's it. That's good. We can end the conversation right there. But I mean, there was other stuff.
But the thing is, Regai was a Detroit guy too. But Regai happened to be, a white guy that sounded black.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put it out there.
No, I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say
put it out there. And that's why Regai got let go. Matter of fact, Regai was great on the radio. When he had a radio show, he was good. As a matter of fact, Cleveland Sports Talk is suffering right now because a lot of the guys who were really good, they let go for this cookie cutter,
for the BS.
Safe tape.
I didn't dislike Fred. I think Fred was legit.
Oh, Fred was okay.
I think Fred was legit. I just didn't like Fred over. I think that call, even though Fred cried and had a moment, I think that call would have been better with Regai. I just think it would, because Regai had done it from the Price time. He had been here since Price was here. Not the whole time that Price was here, but he was here with Terrell Brandon. He was here with Sean Kemp. He was here with Trajan Langdon.
Man, don't bring up Trajan Langdon, man. That's a sports problem.
See, now listen, y'all have seen shows. Anybody who follows us regularly, you guys have seen shows where I was ready to fire Sean. I just said something where Sean was ready to fire me. Sean was ready to let me go.
Tragic Langdon, man. Trajan Langdon sucked. That dude was awful.
You couldn't tell me that. You know why? Or excuse me, you could not that you couldn't tell me that. You couldn't have told anybody who. I was in Alaska when Trajan Langdon was in high school.
Okay.
Because I was in the Air Force. So I mean, these people. Speaking of the Alaskans that I knew, oh man, these guys was going berserk about this guy, how great he was. how awesome he was. That's one of the reasons that Duke, they used to have this thing called the Great Alaskan Shootout during Thanksgiving.
Remember that? Yeah, I remember that back in the day.
Duke was up there a couple years because Trajan came from there. So
yeah,
I went to a couple of those. Because it wasn't like it was nothing else going on in the goddamn city.
right.
But when that happened, people were like, "Man, yeah, Trajan dope, Trajan this, Trajan that." I'm like, okay. He went to Duke and he played well at Duke. But let's see what he does when he gets to the league. And I remember when he got drafted, I had just got home when he got drafted.
I knew he was going when he got drafted. When the Cavs,
I did too, bro. We did so much, and this goes back to what I said when I opened the show. We have a history of drafting retarded.
Out of all the Cleveland teams, the Cavs have drafted the worst. Now, people will say, well, y'all drafted LeBron. LeBron fell in our lap. We couldn't mess that up.
Yep.
Kyrie fell in our lap. We couldn't mess that up. But other than that, we got a history of Randolph Keys and Designer Job. Bob Sura, just a bunch of Antonio Lane. I mean, there's just a bunch of just raggedy, horrible, guys that we knew weren't going to make a difference once they got here. Who's the other one? Chris Mims. Matter of fact, the Cavs actually drafted Jamal Crawford and then traded Jamal Crawford on draft day for Chris Mims. And all Jamal Crawford did every time he played against us was drop 50. Like every time he played against us, he made sure that he made a point to let us know that we were wrong for not keeping him when we drafted him. That's kind of like a horrible. As a matter of fact, the Cavs will probably be in the lottery again this coming season because they're awful. And there's nobody really coming out. There's nobody in this draft. Matter of fact, okay, hold on. Let me back up. Here's how much of bad luck the Cavs have, right? Now, the years when we could have got Zion Williamson and those guys, the Cavs had the worst record in the league. And with this new lottery system, we couldn't get the first round pick. Now, guess what? This year, there's no consensus number one. I heard nobody bubbling.
We're going to get the number one pick.
Right, exactly. This year, we'll get number one and blow it because there's nobody really out here that's.
I mean, think about this though. I remember the year that we got Kyrie. I had the privilege of speaking to Don Komorowski, the Cavs president. We were season ticket holders at the time, and we were in a box. We got a box that night. Our ticket agent got us a box. And this dude just decides he's going to go through every box and say hello to the season ticket holders. So we were having a conversation. So that year, he says to me, "So what do you think about Kyrie Irving?" I said, "Man, I don't know enough about him. He only played 11 games. I go into my diatribe of basically what we have this show for now. Right. I know enough. So guess what, Dom? This guy ain't played enough games. However, there's this kid down in Ohio State, this Evan Turner guy. I really like him, and we need a small forward. We need somebody with some size and blah, blah, blah. You don't win championships with guys that don't have. This is why I have a podcast as opposed to an actual sports team. Listen, I think about this often. Like, as I'm talking to this guy, he's looking me squarely in the face. He's engaging. We're talking. We're having an actual dialogue. He ain't just like brushing me off. We're talking. Right. It just amazes me that this dude could pull that off with that poker face. And I just wonder what he was actually thinking as I was talking.
Exactly. You
Like,
know exactly what he
moron.
said.
What a moron.
Kyrie Irving was a great pick. He said had nothing around him, man. You think about the guys he was playing with back
Listen,
then.
bro, you already know Kyrie to this day, right now, is still my favorite player in the league. What I'm saying is, apparently, for me to think that a guy like Evan Turner should have been picked, because I also like the kid that went to Sacramento. What was that kid's name? I forgot where he went to school. He was like a power forward, but he didn't turn out to be much either. I just thought we needed more size. I was thinking size-wise. I wasn't thinking talent-wise.
Right.
And I didn't see enough of Kyrie. Like, Kyrie played 11 games. And I also did point out, apparently you guys have more film and more intel than I do, but I'm just going off of what what's given to me or what's been shown to me. And the truth is, I don't really see where Kyrie is.
You know what was crazy was the Cavs were actually amassing talent. It's just that some of the talent didn't want to act right. Like Deion Waiters, for whatever reason.
Deion thought he was better. I talked it again. Here's the greatness of allowing or having your brother own clubs in Cleveland. You get an opportunity, especially not just a regular club. You're a club downtown.
Right.
And you're a club that has a little bit of a cachet. I have the ability to go to my brother's clubs and sit next to Kyrie. I've sat next to Kyrie. I've had conversations with Kyrie. I've had conversations with Deion Waiters. I had conversations with Mo Spates. I've had these. I did. I've spoken to. I've spoken to Josh Cribbs. I've had these full-on conversations with these guys that most people don't think I've ever had. So when I have an opinion, hold on a second. Are you going to bed? Mm-hmm. Okay, wait, come here. You got to get on the camera. You got to say,
right.
Hi to the people.
Hi.
Come on, step in. Step all the way in, so they don't see that you.
Yeah, you got to come all the way in. Got the fresh lineup.
You look. There you go. There go Big Sean. Say hi to Big Sean.
Hello.
And then say hi to all the people that's gonna watch, because we got tens and tens of people that will pay attention to this show. So you gotta say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Wow. Good night. Love you, boy. Being a daddy is thankless, but it's also awesome. I'll tell you that. So I got the opportunity to talk to all of these people at certain times, and nope. Oh, wait, because I have twins.
You got part two. Right. It's on part two.
Oh, Lord have mercy. My baby. My baby. Say you got to say hi to Big Sean.
Hi.
Hey, good night.
You also have to say hello to the tens and tens of people that are going to watch the show.
Go Thundercats.
All right, baby. Hey, you guys, y'all done? All right, get in the bed.
Love you.
All right, love you too. See you in the morning. All right. So to be able to watch these guys at times and talk to these guys, I remember having a conversation with Deion Ware. We're in my brother's club, and I say to Deion, same night I had the conversation with Mo Spates, because I wanted to keep Mo Spates. And I saw Sean Livingston. He was in the building. And I said, man, I wanted to talk to Sean Livingston because I really want to keep that dude, because he had a really good year that year. The Cavs weren't good, but I felt like Sean Livingston.
Yeah, he was solid when he was here.
So I said, when he came with Mo Spates, maybe I can have a conversation with Mo Spates. Mo's only concern was getting paid. That was it. Like, that was it for him. The conversation that I had with him at that time.
Right.
I'm not saying that that's who he was his whole career. I'm saying the conversation that I had with him at my brother's club that particular night, He was only concerned about
Which is
getting.
probably why he's not in the league right now, because he wasn't that old.
He
then.
wasn't that old. Nah. He was still pretty good. But you got to put forth that effort.
Right.
But my thought was, man, he's actually pretty good for us. You know, being a 6'10" dude that could shoot, that could open up the floor for everybody. Come on, man. You gotta come back. Because we actually had a solid team that year. You gotta come back. He was like, man, it just depends on how that work out. They gotta work that money in and out for me, homie. Okay, bet. So I left it alone. I saw what that was. I don't have no money angle or anything. Then I see, like damn near the whole team was there that night. Kyrie was upstairs, and that particular night I didn't talk to Kyrie. Kyrie didn't want to talk to me. He wanted to party, even though he was like 20. I'm not telling on nobody, by the way.
I got you.
So I'm talking to Dion Waiters, and Dion literally says to me, and I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Dion Waiters looks me squarely in the face and says to me, I'm the best player on the team. If the team don't see that, that's the team's fault. Bro, your actual response, I couldn't do that in his face, but that was my response in my head. I was like, do you know that you play with Kyrie or not? You're not the best player on this team. Because if you know that you play with Kyrie, why do you think that you're better than Kyrie?
Is Dion Waiters on a roster this year?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Because I know he was halfway with the Lakers last year.
He was with the Lakers last year.
He got a ring last year with the Lakers, but he didn't play in the playoffs.
But come on, bro. When he was here, come on, let's go back. Let's jump in the hip hop time machine and go back. Tell me when he was ever better than Kyrie, ever.
Never. He's just a guy that had a lot of talent. He could shoot, but he thought that he was better. He thought that he was better than what he was.
I never understood why we drafted him in the lottery. I never understood that. He didn't even start in college.
Right.
So why are you drafting him 4th or 6th or 8th or whatever the hell? And why are you drafting him in the top 10? Stop trying to outthink everyone. I swear to you, every team in Cleveland wants to outthink themselves, and that's how we end up with the terrible teams. The only team that is consistently decent is the Indians. And I still swear that they luck up on that.
They do luck up on it. The Indians to be okay. Let's go ahead and pivot real quick because we can't have too much longer of a show today.
That's right. All right.
Like we both have things we don't want
to go too far.
Right,
left.
but
we don't want to go too far left because we can have an 8-hour show apparently.
Right. The Indians do stuff where the Indians are the Pittsburgh Steelers of baseball.
Absolutely.
Where they will not overpay or not give a lot of the veterans that's been here a whole lot of money. They find ways to replace them through the farm system.
Yeah.
And the Indians right now are at a point where they're very lean, where they've gotten rid of, like Clevenger's out of here, Cookie's out of here.
Everybody who's worth
Lindor
they're gone.
is out of here. Who else? There's probably a couple other guys that I can't remember right now that's out of here.
Yeah.
And it would not shock me going into this season that like the Indians have no expectations. The national media probably will not pick us to win the division or make the playoffs, but because our farm system is so strong and they just have finding a way of finding guys that fit into Terry Francona's system, that if the Indians won the division this year, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Of course not. No.
it wouldn't shock me, but I don't know, man. Like the Indians just is like, you know what? We ain't paying nobody
And
at
it's
all.
been their way since the 90s.
Exactly. And they've gotten away with it now. Have we won a championship? No, but they've been very competitive almost every year. It's not like even when the Indians aren't good and don't make the playoffs, they're not horrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're not to the point where they're
When's
unwatchable.
the last time we lost 90 games? Like this flat out lost 90 games and we saw it coming. Every year that we think they're
It's been a minute.
games, these guys will lose about 78 games instead of 90. You know what I mean? Like they find a way to finagle those 15 games to make themselves at least basic. I'm at least 500. Right?
Yeah, even if you lose 78 games, I mean you don't won 84.
Yeah,
and depending on the year, you know,
themselves at least basic. Like you're at least basic, which means you're gonna finish in fourth in your division.
And speaking on this, and real quick, this is something that went under the radar that nobody picked up on. The other day, I was driving, going to work, and I had the little 2020 ticker on WKNR. Not WKNR, but 90.23 The Fan. And they were saying that Dolan announced that the Indians may not change their name to 2023. And I was like, interesting.
They're milking that, bro.
And I said that a while ago. I said, okay, the Indians are not going to make the same mistake the Redskins made when the Redskins were just like, well, we ain't going to. Because here's the thing about America. America has a short-term memory. They forget about stuff real fast. Now, at the time, when all that stuff was going on with the Redskins, they would like change the name. And I said this before. I was like, well, if Dan Snyder just comes out and just says, we'll look into it and we'll work on it. I was like, man, that stuff will go away. And he can keep that Redskins name and keep making money off that name and nobody will give a damn. And I said, when the Indians came out and said they were going to change their name, I said, you know what? They're getting ahead of it. They're being smart about it. And after a while, people will forget about it. So when they announced that they want to change the name to 2023, I didn't hear no uproar. Did nobody say nothing? Because now they're moved on to the next. I follow Little Duval on IG, and he always saying like, what are Americans fake caring about today? Because that's what all of what it is. They really people were like, well, you need to change the name because it's offensive to Native Americans. I was like, y'all really don't care about what's going on with y'all really don't. But
and not that I don't, or not that we don't, but don't nobody on a whole care about Native Americans or what they think.
Yeah, people just say they care because it's the thing to do at the time.
Right.
So I said, okay, I see you, Dolan. You know that I'm gonna see how far he pushes it. He may do it by year basis. He was like, you know what? They still ain't said nothing.
Listen,
So
I saw that when it happened. I said, man, if it's a couple things I can't argue with, I can't argue with how he approached it. Because they just slowly, like from a market standpoint, they just slowly phased out Chief Wahoo. And then they just slowly infused the Block C, and then they slowly infused the Curse of I.
Right.
And guess what? We like the Curse of I, and we like the Block C. So you just keep selling that. And then the next thing you know, you don't even see this sleight of hand that's going on in the background that we're not using. Like Chief ain't even on the thing no more, on the side of your thing no more. Now we move up to here. He used to be here, and here. Now he's just here. But nobody's paying attention. Like I think they did a David Blaine /
right.
Copperfield type of smoke and mirrors that made us all think that it went away, didn't totally go away.
And
But
you can still go online and buy Chief Wahoo gear.
there you go.
Now,
There you go.
my the whole thing is, it's like, why do you pick on certain teams? That's like, why haven't the Chicago Blackhawks been made to change their logo? Now on their jersey, look, on their jersey, they got a big ass Native American head on their damn thing, similar to the red. It's just like the Redskins logo. It's the same thing.
Same thing with Florida State.
Huge, right there on their chest. Nobody says anything. Kansas City Chiefs. Somebody was debating me. I was like, look, man, they got a big ass spear on their damn helmet. You know what that means. Like, how come they ain't got to change their name? The Atlanta Braves.
They do the tomahawk too. You can't do the tomahawk too.
The Atlanta Braves got a big ass tomahawk thing on a jersey. So why aren't they being pressured? That's my thing is, I understand.
Get rid of all of the rhetoric.
If you're gonna pick on one, like, get them all. That's my whole thing. It's like people just kind of, people just go at the wave, whatever the wave is at the time. They jump on that bandwagon, and I hate that shit.
The fake care. You can't fake.
I fake care. I can't stand that shit. Like, if you gonna get one, go ahead and get them all. Just like, fine. Like, everybody got to change their. Anybody that has a Native American motif as their logo and mascot.
I tried to tell somebody. They was like, "Oh, he had to change it." Talking about Dan Snyder. Oh, he had to change it. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
They were like, no, he felt the pressure. What? He was the owner of the doggone Washington Redskins for years.
Years.
He didn't just all of a sudden change it because he felt pressure. Like, that lets me know that you don't have any insight. He changed it because of everything else that was going around. He was just like, man, these cats ain't gonna buy my junk.
It had nothing to do with that. He didn't play it right.
He didn't listen. He missed it. He should have played it right. He should have phased it out. I felt like the Indians did it right. The Cleveland Indians did it the right way. They said, hey, eventually you're not going to even see Chief Wahoo no more. And that's what ended up happening. I never even thought, I'm a dude that had 50 Chief Wahoo hats. I don't have a single solitary Chief Wahoo nothing. But I wasn't against the Indians for having it.
Right, exactly.
I just was like, all right, you know what? I'm a minority. I get what they're saying. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not gonna be able to play this game. But I like the block C. I saw the block C. I said, damn, I like that. That's nice. I like that. So
and that's just old school, because back in the 80s, the Indians had the block C on their helmet.
Yes, they did. So it was nothing. Even the tomahawk C that we've seen in the 70s,
right.
70s going into the 80s. I like that. I have hats like that. I have shirts with that on it. So again, we go back to just kind of regular thought processes, but nobody wants to get it because everybody wants to be free and have freedom. So you don't want to talk about it. You want to feel like, oh, you just get over it. That's not freedom. Getting over it ain't freedom. Sometimes you just gotta say, hey man, this ain't right.
Man, and here's my thing. And some people are probably gonna get pissed off at me when I'm about to say this.
I'm pissed off already, but go ahead.
Right, man. Stop all this damn, like, I hate symbolism over substance. I can't stand it. When you want to do this and do that because it's the right thing to do, I was like, okay, if y'all really cared about Native Americans and what they're going through, like, y'all would go to the reservations and actually do some type of
cancel culture is bullshit.
Yeah, charity work or do something. Like me, I got too much stuff going on. I don't give a damn. I ain't got time to be worrying about everything else right now. I just honestly, I don't.
It's the whole cancel culture, bro. I don't like none of the cancel culture. I hate it.
They didn't cancel my man Pepe.
I mean, how you gonna cancel Pepe Le Pew, man? No,
talking about he was a rapist. Like, look, man, Pepe wasn't a rapist. He was a stalker. It's a difference.
He was a big stalker. However, it's a cartoon.
It's a
Relax.
cartoon. And those
Like, I was
cartoons
never
back in
been,
the day
and
were
I
made
tell,
for adults.
bro, I tell black people this all the time. They wanted to get rid of the mammy that was on Tom and Jerry. Guess what? I mean, you want me to be real? Let's be real. The mammy on Tom and Jerry sounded like my grandmother, my father's mother. So when you want to get rid of her, like they did something wrong by including her. No, they didn't. That's how my grandmother talked. I'm not joking. She used to yell at my cousin, "Beat it, Thomas." That's the same thing. It's the exact same way. So when you say get rid of that, because that ain't who we are, that's not who we are. That's not who we've been. Stop it. And it ain't stopped none of us from getting college degrees and getting
Right, because
better jobs and being
here's my thing. When you focus on things like that, like the Tom and Jerry or Pepe Le Pew or anything like that.
They won't show you sticking your head, Tom and Jerry or Bugs Bunny, sticking your head in the barrel and then coming up with the blackface because somebody might be offended.
And correct. But here's my thing though. It's like it takes away from when there's really something going on, it desensitizes people to what's really going on. Like to the real issues. Like forget the petty stuff. Let's start focusing on the real stuff that's going on that's causing the issues. Like, there is institutional racism and stuff like that, but we're so caught up on the petty stuff that we don't address the real thing.
We miss the real shit.
The real issues. I don't care about, because like for one thing, like Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers, Tom and Jerry, Woody Woodpecker, the Pink Panther, and stuff like that back in the day, those cartoons are made for adults. Those were shown, like we went to the movies back in the day, there was a double feature.
Yeah, and they would be
in between double feature, they would show those cartoons. Now, somehow in the 70s and 80s, when we were growing up as kids, they became kids' cartoons. Now, watching those cartoons, at no point in time did it make us feel like we were Speedy Gonzalez.
Thank you.
And it made me feel any way bad about Mexicans at the time, because it's a cartoon. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just it made me laugh. I was like, okay, I'm not tripping.
Real to begin with.
So all I'm saying is, if you're going to focus on something, focus on the real issues and not Dr. Seuss. Man, they'll be coming up with convoluted shit about green eggs and ham. Who cares at this point in time? Let's focus on the real issues, the real social issues that are causing the inequalities that we're having in society, instead of getting caught up on the petty shit. That's what makes me mad. Now, some people, a lot of our listeners are going to disagree with me on that. That's fine. And if you want to have a conversation or debate about it, you can comment and we can talk about it. And we can talk about it as adults.
It's not an end game. This ain't the end game. Like we are people that want to engage in the conversation, and we want to engage in making things better. We want to engage in making the conversation easier. There's not a lot of people that will tell you, you don't agree with me, so don't talk to me.
Yeah, and here's the thing, or two, we were talking about the fake caring. So you cancel Pepe, but on Family Guy, you got like a pet. Was it a Quagmire? Ain't he like a pedophile?
Yeah, he's like a little pedophile.
Something. It's like two characters on Family Guy.
I also can't say that a girl can't wear or shouldn't wear XYZ when she's out, because that still doesn't mean, and I agree, it still doesn't mean that you should get peeped out a certain kind of way, or that people should feel like they should do certain things a certain kind of way.
Right, exactly.
But if I can't say that, then why is this an issue? You have to look at the entirety of the situation. Pepe Le Pew ain't changed nothing or fixed nothing or made nothing worse. Nobody. If you tell me, oh, the reason that I did what I did was because of Pepe Le Pew.
For one thing, people don't even understand why those cartoons were made. Pepe
They
Le
don't understand that they were made by 50-year-old white dudes.
Yeah, for one thing, cartoons back then was a lot of propaganda involved. So back then, Pepe Le
They
Pew,
was just talking shit about French.
but the French, like it was World War II going on.
They was talking shit about the French.
The United States had this perception that the French were weak, which they weren't. They had the whole thing. They don't take showers regularly like we do,
and that's why they called them. But they missing all that. They missing all that in the rhetoric.
And that they were very into romanticism and stuff like that. So Pepe Le Pew, being a skunk, he smells
a stinky Frenchman.
A stinky Frenchman.
They missing
that sex hungry. That's basically it.
But
he was chasing women. That's all he was doing.
A fake. Matter of fact, he wasn't even chasing a skunk. He's chasing a fake skunk. Almost every episode, there was not a skunk involved.
Right.
That he was pursuing. So her not wanting it had nothing to do with her not wanting it. He thought that she was a skunk.
Right.
Like they were missing the actual point. But I digress. We're not finna get into that too deep. We need you to get the heck off of here because I know you got to get ready for work in the morning. So let's get into this tournament real quick. As you guys can see behind me, I got what I like to call the Ohio State basketball team. This is Egypt. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to remember.
It was both sides.
It's actually the opposite. It's actually the opposite for me. So what you guys see, it's opposite behind me. So this is EJ Liddell. EJ Liddell, I think he might be our best player. The problem is EJ is only 6'8" 9-ish, but he plays big. He overplays, and we lost because we have it all year long. I want to say this. Sean knows this. I know this. I've watched this team all year. This team ain't that good. This team isn't that good. Somehow we managed to win 21 games. I didn't think that we would win 21 games this year. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed. My thing is, there's no way that we should have lost to Oral Roberts.
Now, you know what? Oral Roberts just won again.
They did.
They just beat Florida.
They did. But guess what? Guess what we weren't going to do if we had beat Oral Roberts? We weren't going to beat Florida. I didn't have us beating Florida. I knew what our deficiencies are. We don't really have a go-to. Who do we go to when it's crunch time?
No, they were going to Dwayne Washington. They
were going to him, but is he the go-to?
Ohio State just didn't.
Because all he does is shoot threes.
Yeah, Ohio State didn't play smart at all. But that's an indictment on college basketball, period. Not just college, just the way the NBA is played now with analytics now, where everybody's jacking up threes.
I don't think they're being taught no more, bro.
Well, analytics says, okay, what's the difference between taking a 20-footer and a 23-footer? It's like if you're gonna take a long shot, you might as well go ahead and shoot the three. My thing is, because I'm old school, and yes, I'm an old fuddy-duddy, my thing is the closer you are to the damn basket, the easier it is to make the doggone shot.
Okay.
Period. So I think that, somebody said that Steph Curry ruined the NBA, and I agree. I agree. Now, Steph Curry didn't set out to.
I put it on analytics. I won't put it on Steph. I put it on analytics.
Well, no. Here's why I'm saying Steph did it. because Steph is so skilled that it's okay if Steph takes those crazy shots because he hits them half the time.
Yeah.
He's a 50% 3-point shooter.
Okay.
That's fine, but everybody is not him. He's a special guy.
Everybody's not a sniper.
But everybody, but because young kids like we were, you emulate your heroes. So these young kids are emulating Steph Curry, and somehow analytics and these coaches have bought into it. I'm seeing teams coming down on a 4-on-1 fast break,
pulling up
and stop and pull up for a 30-foot
for a trademark,
which is the worst thing that you could possibly do.
Get the buckets. You get the 2.
Yeah, but now it's like, yeah, but because of analytics and the way that they're coaching now, and these kids are better shooters. You used to have like 3-point specialists back in the day, right?
Yeah, now, Michael Coopers and Craig Elos, these guys.
Yeah, Craig Hodges and those guys. All these guys on the team now, like you watch a college game, all these guys shoot at least 30% from 3. You know what I'm saying? So
upper 20s.
So now that's out the window. And it's just bad. It's bad decisions, and nobody now calls them out on it. And if you do call them out on it, they'll call you old school.
You're old fuddy-duddy. You're old fuddy-duddy.
You don't understand the new way they playing ball, and it's
but this is what's happening in the game now. Like now, like a guy like EJ Liddell. I mean, the crazy part is when we were growing up, a guy like him who's 6'8", 6'9"-ish, yeah, he would have been playing down low. Of course he would have. But he wouldn't have been shooting 3-pointers. Like when Patrick Ewing spotted up and took a 3-pointer, what did anybody, I don't care how good we thought Patrick Ewing was, if you saw Patrick Ewing taking a 3-pointer, you know what you would say to yourself? Go ahead, shoot it, dog.
Right.
Good luck.
We'll live with it. We'll live with the result.
But that's not the game anymore. Now the game has transformed into this loose lips don't sink ships. You can just do whatever, and we can score a whole bunch of points, and everybody's happy because we scored a whole bunch of points.
Yeah, and a lot of ISO. Like Kevin Garnett has said this like a few weeks ago. He was like, guys of my era couldn't play in this era because it's too saucy. Like guys is too slick with the handles. And in a way, I was like, okay, you're right.
He's right, but he's not right. He's right,
but you're not right. You're right, but you're not right. Exactly.
He's right,
because fundamentals at the end of the day, normally fundamentals are going to trump.
They'll still rule. Yeah. Fundamentals will still rule.
Right.
So if you know how to box out, if you know how to play good defense and rotate the right way, the problem is we're into a new era where, flopping is okay. Like the way I grew up, I'm not falling on the ground because somebody ran into me. I'm just not doing it. You're going to have to actually knock me over. But I grew up with this grown man mentality. You got to be a man about everything you do. These guys don't grow up that way. So when you go play basketball, like to me, you're not running me over. I remember the guys that had my mentality when I was younger. I would go past them and I was faster than them. Oh yeah, I'm gonna knock this dude on his ass.
But you know what? These guys don't grow up playing on the playgrounds. Everything is so structured now.
And
everything is structured with AAU and travel leagues.
That, bro. That's where the game changed that. The games ain't being played on the concrete anymore, on a blacktop anymore. We used to play it that way, so you understood when you went down to Zelma George, even if you was inside, you understood. These are still grown men. So I got to call my foul amongst grown men. These kids don't have to do that. So you don't have to be real. Back then, we had to be real. And you had to prove yourself on every court that you played on. It's not that same way no more, especially not without.
Yeah, you probably like you don't hear about these now. These guys won't have to go into the Rucker no more.
No, man, these dudes ain't going to the Ruck and having to deal with guys. They ain't trying to deal with guys up in the Bronx for that. What? For what?
No.
The above the rim days is over with, homie.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody doing that no more. You know, where you line up your team, you Fat Joe, and you lining up your team with Kobe and Spreewell and all them guys to play a summer league game. They ain't doing that. Who doing that? Ain't nobody doing that. Nobody's doing that, bro. Them days is over with. So
hey, I remember man playing in gyms and stuff like that where pickup games where I ain't the most skilled guy. Basketball wasn't my thing. I was more of a football guy. But if you out there on the court and you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, they gonna call your ass out a couple of times.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of guys cussing me out. They was like, man, you are lazy. You ain't doing blah, 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 blah.
Because don't
and
nobody
I make you play harder. You know what I'm saying? You was going to play. It wasn't like I was going to cry about it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
That was it.
You know,
because
it's like, dude was calling me out. I got to play my role. Whatever it is, whatever your role is out there on the court.
Because nobody's out here for this bullshit. We actually came to play. Like, especially, goddamn, God forbid you playing somewhere where there's gonna be, where the winners are deep. So I ain't come all the way out here to lose. What you doing, homie?
Right.
Get your man.
I think you posted. Was that you that posted on Facebook an old class picture of Miss Silver's class back in the day? And I was about to say something smart. I was like, yeah, I remember beating the hell out of y'all in elimination.
Look,
back at Randall.
You can go ahead, put it out there. Go ahead. Because
but you remember how intense that was? Like the schedule, we had a whole schedule out for a month.
Yeah.
Like who was
I hated missing shots. I remember one time I lost to Vernell Choate. He was in your class.
Vernell was in my class.
I lost to Vernell, and I never listen. Here I am, almost 40 years later, and I still remember losing to Vernell Choate. Still, and I love Vernell. Listen, this ain't no hate on Vernell. Anybody who listens to this, who knows who we are, who knows Vernell, I love Vernell Choate. That's my guy. I'm just saying, Vernell was a wrestler. He wasn't no basketball player. I should have lost it.
I remember the guy that I couldn't stand was Richard Wainwright. And I remember one time Richard was always talking shit. Richard was always talking shit to me. And I went up against him. He hit the shot first and he started playing around, right? He was like, okay, this dude can't beat me. Man, I came down, threw it up from half court. Damn near that shit went in. He had this look on his face. I was like, yeah, I got your ass this time. He ain't say shit to me for the rest of the school year. I think it was what was that, 5th grade or 6th grade?
Yeah, that might have been 6th grade.
That was probably 6th grade. Right. Like Richard ain't say shit to me for the rest of the year. He was always talking shit like, you sorry, you can't play.
Listen,
blah, 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 blah. When I came down, hit that shot half court, like, yeah, you ain't say shit to me for the rest of the year.
I've ever heard. That could be the best story I've ever heard, man. That's awesome. That is awesome, actually. Because Rich and those guys, we ended up being rivals later in life. About
Richard was an asshole, man. He wasn't a bad dude. He was an asshole.
They gave us our whole name. Rich and them are one of the reasons that we had our crew name. They gave it to us. Because they were like, these dudes out here like, man, it was just crazy. They just came after us like madness. And we became the madness crew. Like they started calling us the madness. And that's how people referred to us. Because we was playing basketball. And they was like, they was beating us like, say, 10-2. And we just came back on them like 3 days straight. Every day when we played them, they was beating us and then we came back. They was like, man, this shit like madness. Y'all the madness. Y'all crazy. And I was like, Okay, it was what it was.
Yeah, he was crazy because when you playing hoop, and we had to walk up to the. Remember we played hoop, and then we went to Randallwood, or we had to walk all the way up to the junior high.
Yep.
Fucking with Robert and Chris and
You ain't want to be bothered with
Marcus.
John Laney.
Marcus up there playing football, even though we playing basketball.
Listen,
Marcus was always playing football.
He'll take the ball and go, ooh, and move you out the way and then shoot a layup. Punk ass Marcus.
Yeah, you was crazy. Playing with them fools, like you had to be.
But that's listen, man. We can go on and on for hours. However, Ohio State lost to a damn team they shouldn't have lost to. I don't care who.
To a damn a college name after a damn preacher.
A televangelist.
That's the word I was looking for. A televangelist. He was Oral Roberts, one of the original OG pimp.
Yeah.
Suck you out your money.
And his family making all the levels of money off this pimp game. You done got food out of this. Man, what?
Right.
These cats lost. But I put this on Instagram. I think I put it on Facebook as well. I watched a lot of Ohio State games. So I'm not one of these homer dudes that just assume that Ohio State should have won. I knew Ohio State wasn't that good. We're too small, and we don't have a go-to person. Like when the game gets tight, who are you going to? You going to Dwayne Washington? Who's a gun? He's just gonna shoot. But can he break a guy down and get to the rack? Can he break a guy down and get to the free throw line?
He was playing hero ball that game.
And man, he took so many.
Ohio State actually has guys. I mean, you have C.J. Walker, you got Sewing, you got Liddell.
Who you going to?
Have good guys. Yeah.
Tell me who you going to.
Right.
When the game is on the line, it's all coming down to this. Who are we going to? It's not like back in the day when you had certain, you had certain guys that you knew. Back when we were in high school, you knew it's either going to be JJ or Scooty Penn.
Yeah.
One of these dudes going to take this shot. Even if they miss it, we're all okay with that. Because
you're going way back, back. Scooty Penn played with was it Michael Red? No, Michael Red was after
Scooty played with JJ.
No, no, he didn't.
They had them. Listen, they played against the Fab Five with those grades.
No, that wasn't Scooty. No. Jim Jackson was with like Treg Lee, Perry Carter, and Lawrence Funderburg. Scooty came a little bit. Scooty was more like 99, 90, 2000.
Hold up. Let me look it up. I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah. Scooty was just a little bit after that. Because remember, like Jim Jackson played, remember Mark Baker? You had Treg Lee, Perry Carter, Lawrence Funderburg. I think who else is on them teams? They kind of crossed paths a little bit, but it kind of transferred into a different area.
Right. You're correct.
Scooty had somebody else with him, but I can't remember his name offhand.
Scooty played with, hold on. I'm about to find it out.
It wasn't Michael Red. Michael Red came a little bit after Scooty. Scooty had a running mate too, but I cannot think of his name. It's killing me right now.
It was Mike.
It was Michael Red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scooty the Pen. I used to call him Scooty the Pen. Scooty Penn.
And it was somebody else on that squad too that was decent. Yeah, and then after Scooty left, that's when you had what's the dude that couldn't stay healthy?
You talking about
Olden. Greg.
You had Greg, but you also had the point guard.
Play now. I think he was damn name. Play with Utah.
He's still playing out of Utah.
Conley. You have Mike Conley.
Mike
Conley, Greg Oden.
That's Mike Conley Jr. And then After them guys was my little cousin, Dallas. You had
Yeah, that was Lauderdale.
yeah, you had a couple guys. Right before Dallas. Hold on. I'm about because of course, because I'm trying to say that right now, I can't think of their names because I'm old as hell. I'm too old. But it was Dallas. And right before him, what was the fact that I shouldn't say that because these guys might watch the game. I mean, watch our show, so I would become like a jerk. I don't want to do that. But he played for Boston. He was a center for Boston. He was very skilled. He was very skilled too. He was very skilled.
The
But
light
he was
skinned
just,
dude.
yeah,
I can't
yeah.
think
He
of
was
his
just a little
name.
bit overweight.
Yeah.
He was just a little bit overweight.
He had no hops. He played like Al Jefferson.
But man, he could play ball though. Like his inside game was he was good. Like
He
I
didn't
liked him
last
a lot.
that long, but I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was there before my cousin got there.
Yeah.
And then
Because that's when you were transitioning into the one and done era.
Yep.
After that. Yeah, but I cannot think. I know you're talking about.
I'm about to find these cats.
He played with Boston and he played with somebody else.
Yep.
And then he drifted out the league.
I can see him. Like, and for whatever reason, because I'm so old, I can't call the name. Like I can't call it off. You had Mike Red, Scooty the Pen, Brian Brown. Brian Brown was another guy that was on that team, that 2000 team that was really, really
right.
good.
You remember you had Dave Lighty? Remember Dave Lighty? Lighty did
David Lighty was on the same team with the dude I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
Because Dave Lighty went to school up the street at VA St. Joe's. Right. So I knew Dave. I knew Dave's people. Brent Darby was on that squad from 2000.
Yeah, I remember Darby. Yeah.
They were all pretty good. Here we go. I'm about to think about this. When did Dallas graduate high school? Let's say that year. Because what is this? I can't believe I can't think of this dude's name. And as soon as I see it, I'm gonna lose my mind. Yep, that was Thad, because Thad was there. Thad recruited all them cats. You had, yep. Othello Hunter was one of them.
Yeah,
Mike. You had David Lighty, Greg Oden, but it was right after these guys. Mark Terwilliger. Terwilliger was there when my cousin was there too. Daquan Cook. I always thought Daquan should have stayed in school longer.
He was a one. Matter of fact, Ohio State went to the finals.
Yeah, I thought Daquan should have stayed.
They lost to Joakim Noah in Florida.
I thought they should have stayed. I thought Daquan should have stayed a little bit longer.
Should have, right.
2008. So we're gonna go a couple years past that. I'm typing with apparently with drunken fingers.
Like I think his name had a J in it.
I said, why they give me this? I said Ohio State.
That had to have been around 2009. I
was gonna say it was like 2010. That's what I was. I just typed in here. Who do we have here? We got Evan, David. Evan Turner was dope. And we had Dallas, of course.
Yeah, that should be that team right
Mullen
there.
Cover. There you go. Jared Sullinger. That's his name.
Right.
Sully.
Okay. There
Sully.
we go.
Sully was the guy. Like Sully was the guy. Like Sully was one of those big body dudes that you understood, you knew, man, this dude gonna be a problem. And Sully was that when he got to Boston, especially once he cut down, because he cut down some of his weight, I think within his first year.
Yeah, he did.
And he was a problem. Like Jared had ability, man. His biggest problem was that dude loved to eat.
And he didn't really he wasn't like super athletic either.
He wasn't. No, it wasn't that he wasn't athletic. He just was a little bit extra.
He kind of reminded me of, you remember them Florida teams, Dimitri Hill, the meat hook?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. Or like Al Jefferson.
I was just getting ready to say, like, I think your Al Jefferson reference was probably spot on. I think
those guys, Al Jefferson, Paul Millsap,
guys like Barkley. Barkley, he was like Barkley. He was a kind of a 6'8" guy.
No, man, Barkley. If you go back and watch those old Barkley,
you ain't got to listen, bro. You know what you're talking about. You know who you're talking to. You ain't got to tell me.
Barkley was crazy athletic.
Barkley was mad athletic, but he was a guy who liked to eat. I think Jared Sullinger was the same. Like Jared was a guy who could play ball. Like when you're talking about playing basketball, when you get him to rock, he can give you the left to the right. He can give you the over the top. He can give you the inside and power you through. His problem was he was always, with the exception of maybe a year or two, he was almost always overweight. And then when he wasn't overweight, his joints had kind of given out on him.
He had some injury problems, right?
Yeah, so I just think that was where the issues were. So listen, we ain't gonna keep going because now we getting close to 2 hours on the show, almost 3 hours. We don't want to go too far over. However, we did want to make certain points. Ohio State dropped the ball. Also, let me bring this up real quick because I also want to mention this. You dum-dums that are giving this guy, tweeting this guy and telling him his missed free throws are this and that and the other, and y'all, tweeting hateful stuff to this guy. Come on, man, grow up. I hate Ohio State losing too. I hate us not being beyond the round of 64.
Exactly. But these guys are still kids. They're like 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
This dude has a dad. He might have sisters and brothers, cousins, whatever. Man, listen, stop it. We're all grown.
As a matter of fact, if you saw him in person, you wouldn't say it to his face.
And I'll tell you something else. Not only would you not say that in person, this young man, while he didn't win the game per se and all that, blah, blah, blah. This dude had, if I ain't mistaken, over 20 points and like 14 boards. So it's not like he dropped the ball. Yeah, he missed them free throws. And could he and should he have made them? Of course he should have. I agree. He should have made them because they're free throws. But you cannot argue with what this guy put out.
And that's something else that's not taught now. It's not emphasized. It's free throw shooting.
No, none of that stuff is taught.
In basketball.
Guys how to shoot 47-foot jump shots.
Right.
They're not teaching you how to shoot a 16-foot easy, and not easy, but a shot where nobody's around.
Man, look, free throws free throws, it's free throws, it's free points. They come in handy. Normally that's the difference in the game a lot of times.
That makes the game easier. Listen, the reason that Karl Malone is number 3 on the list is because Karl Malone used to make his free throw.
Man, Karl Malone was steady. Him and damn Adrian Dantley.
Them cats go to the free throw line, it was over with. They go on the free throw line. They're going to go to the free throw line about 15 times a game.
Right.
That's what they do. And they're
As
gonna
a
make
matter of
12 out of
fact,
15.
when when your shot was off,
That's what
that's
you
what
did. That's
guys
how you
like
got yourself back
Jordan
on.
and Larry Bird and those guys did. It's like,
That's how you
okay,
got yourself back on. Thank
right,
you.
my
Tell
shot
him,
ain't
Sean.
on. I'm gonna get to the line,
Tell him,
see the
Sean.
ball go through the hoop,
Tell him,
and get
Sean.
my rhythm on.
Tell him, Sean. Because see, people think we just old fuddy-duddies and we don't get it. But that's what we would tell ourselves. When I played, I would tell myself, I missed 4 or 5 jump shots. I'm gonna step in next time. And I'm gonna step in again. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to the rack. Get bumped. Maybe if I see a layup go in, that changes my jump shot next time.
Right.
If I didn't see that go in,
Like the
now I'm
key
at
to
the free
being
throw line.
a great player is if your shot is not there, you got to find another way to affect the game.
You
Whether
gotta
it be
find another way.
this,
That's it.
getting to the line,
That's it.
getting the other team in foul trouble,
Yep.
anything, you
You
know, as
figure
far
that
as
out.
you got to do something to impact the game.
But that's because the game wasn't always made easy for us. So you had to figure out another way. Nowadays, because the game is so open, the game is already kind of easy. You don't really have to do much. Not to say that I would have been some NBA superstar or whatever. I'm just saying now a guy like me, like there was no way for a guy like me at 5'10" could be in the league and be effective back then. Now I could be, because all I got to do is be a good jump shooter. That's it. If I'm a good jump shooter, I might make a team, and I might make it through if I make a couple of 2, 3 extra shots that I shouldn't have made, that they thought I shouldn't have made. Back in the day, guys like Spud Webb and there was anomalies.
Earl Boykins,
Earl Boy, man,
I like that. Yeah,
we were kids. There weren't too many Earl Boykins and what's the dude that used to play for Boston? Nate Robinson's. Them dudes was anomalies.
Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy was an anomaly back in the day. But you know how dope Muggsy had to be on the team at 5'6"?
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? Like you don't see those guys now.
Because now you have to be more like, I got to be able to make a basket. And
you
now
know what? And I don't even think a coach will even give those guys even a chance. And if they can play,
think about
because
it,
there's so much in the analytics and stuff like that, they want to give those guys.
Think about this too, though, Sean. When you got a guy that's 6'9" like LeBron that's bringing the ball up, who gonna guard that dude?
Yeah, exactly.
Who gonna guard Luka Doncic, who's 6'6" and can shoot from 37 feet, 38 feet, 40 feet when he feels like it?
Exactly.
You gonna bring me in? I'm gonna guard that guy? You can't even get on the floor.
Yeah.
But when you can affect the game from that spot and be, because even those guys that could affect the game, Nate Robinson could affect the game. He just couldn't stay on any team regularly because the defense was changing up.
Yeah, Nate was solid, and I hate the way they treated Nate when he got knocked out. You know, I like, because my thing is, you step into the ring and put your life on the line. You know,
Step in that ring, dog. That
he
was
should.
that was listen, Nate, stay in your lane, homie. You a basketball player.
Story, right?
And I'm gonna take the words of the great Jim Brown, who thought that he could fight Muhammad Ali, and he said he squared off on Muhammad Ali before, and before he could get a full sentence out, Muhammad Ali had almost punched him 13 times, and he said to himself, I'm not a boxer. And we talk about one of the greatest athletes that ever lived. But he said
exactly.
he squared off with Muhammad Ali and said, man, throw your best. And before he could get it out, Muhammad Ali had already threw 15 punches. And he said to himself, I almost got punched 15 times. Like this dude.
Yeah. And speaking of boxing, man, real quick, shout out to Marvin Hagler, marvelous Marvin Hagler. One of my favorite boxers. You know, he passed away the other day. We lose legends. Seems like almost every week somebody's passing away. Matter of fact, Marvel's Marvin Hagler and Hitman Hearns had one of the greatest rounds
one of the
ever.
greatest first rounds that ever existed in the history
ever
of boxing.
existed.
Period.
Exactly. Period.
I don't care what weight. I don't care if these dudes wasn't your favorites or not. We're talking about the best first round that might have ever existed, period. Whether documented or undocumented, could be the best first round that we've ever seen.
They were just throwing haymakers, so and they didn't care. They laid it all on the line.
This is why I don't put Mayweather in these guys' realm, because these guys fought at everybody else's peak too, and they fought everybody, and they stood in there with everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't about having a belt. It was just about like proving who was the best. Like if he said he the best, and I say I'm the best, I'm gonna go ahead and fight him. But look,
we talking about even the baseline guys, John the Beast Mugabe, and Duran didn't always have a belt, and I mean these guys were the Boom Boom Man. These guys were incredible.
It was levels. It was levels to it. It's still levels to it now.
It's still levels.
It's a little bit different. There's a lot of talented boxers out there, but they protect guys a little bit more. A lot of politics still involved. Like there's no reason why Terrence Crawford has not had a major fight yet. He has,
but don't nobody want to fight Bud. Don't nobody want to fight Bud, because Bud
can happen.
Ass.
They just may make that shit happen.
But
like Bud,
but there's also a part of that Bud might not want to fight cats too.
Like Bud should have been fought like Errol Spence or somebody.
He don't want to. Man, who the hell want to fight Errol?
But that's what I'm saying. If you want to say you're the best,
I don't disagree with you. Fight him. Me and you ain't disagreeing. Me and you not arguing about this. Me and you on the same page. But that's how these guys feel. I'm just.
Man, he didn't even fought like Sean Porter or.
They don't want to see Sean Porter.
I don't know.
Because guess what? Sean didn't really fight a bad fight when he fought Errol.
He didn't.
Sean was right there. I remember because I was traveling and I knew Sean's brother-in-law, and we would talk about it. And I'm like, man, what's Sean doing, man? He gotta be ready for this guy. But to Sean, that was a leap, because he knew I'm not gonna get no bigger fights. Nobody really wants to fight me. So he was like, I gotta take this. Yeah. And he didn't fight bad. But guess who wants to fight Sean Porter? Nobody, because he did fight with Errol Spence. Well, don't nobody want to see Sean now.
Yeah,
and
Sean Porter
Huh?
Sean Porter has not ducked anybody at all.
He hasn't. And that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody wants to see him. Nobody wants to see Errol Spence. Nobody wants to see Bud either. Like, these guys are like ducking each other on a certain level.
Yeah.
On a certain level.
But it's time, like, if boxing wants to save itself beyond the gimmicks, you gotta make these fights. Like, you got, Tyson Fury, they're going back and forth with this Anthony Joshua thing.
Finally, they're going to do it. What I just saw this the other day. They finally going to do it.
Yeah. Just make the fight. And whoever wins, fight Deontay Wilder.
The people want to see the fights. I'm a boxing fan. Yeah, I know you don't do UFC much, but as much as I might like UFC, the thing about UFC is the best fight the best. Or the up-and-coming are the best. They fight each other. So it makes it watchable. It doesn't happen that much in boxing. Like, Floyd would wait till cats was out of their prime to fight them. What you waiting for? Fight them when they're in their prime, bro. Since you the greatest or whatever, or some of that. You're not the greatest. You're just the greatest ducker.
I don't know if I'll go that far. But
you're the greatest ducker, bro. That's all you do. You fight and you duck and you move. But it's all good. And
But look, bro,
we're not gonna go off onto that tangent because
we're at the point now where,
so
unfortunately, I gotta go to bed, so I get up and go to
we
work
gotta close out. We gotta close out. So listen,
and close out.
shout out to Sean. Thank you for being here, homie. You know how I always get down. I always thank you. I know you say I
Oh,
don't
thank
need
you.
but
You the
I
one that
always
made all
thank
this
you.
happen in the first place. So,
But
like, we just been on, we're trying to figure some things out. So, no, most of you guys listen to us for our Browns commentary. And right now, it's not football season. And, the Cavs suck. The Indians are doing their same 1-2. So you might not be tuning in as much. And we haven't been around. We haven't been doing our normal, two shows a week. But, we still want to give you some content. And we still want you guys to interact with us.
and we're gonna get
We're not
more
going
focused with you guys because we don't want to lose you. We want to stay
right.
Keep you guys around. So we will get more centered on a weekly show, at least until we get back towards college
Right.
football.
Like we said before, if there's a particular thing you want us to discuss, a subject matter, all you got to do is hit us up.
Let us know. Ask us what
we'll discuss it.
XYZ. And
Right.
we're all over. But having said all of that, before we close out, as you guys see, we want to support the local businesses. And as you guys see, I'm wearing a shirt that says LaRue Creole Kitchen. You might say, what is that? Who is that? Where is that? Well, the LaRue Creole Kitchen is my nephew's restaurant. Right now, we only have one open. It is in Euclid, Ohio. It is at 22-370 Euclid, Ohio. And we're opening up one in the Steel Yard. We're also opening up one in Akron, Columbus. We're coming soon. Also Cincinnati. But for now, the Euclid spot is where we are. We have shrimp bowls, lobster chunks. Come get your vegan bowl. Like these guys do it all. And they do the bags, the boiled bags that everybody enjoys.
Right. Very popular nowadays.
Crabs, mussels, crawfish. My nephew was in the building today making jambalaya. So they're getting ready to put the jambalaya on the menu.
For a fact, I haven't been there yet, but I will. But I know anything that my boy RP backs and his brother Donnie backs, I know it's quality. They don't mess around when it comes to this. So everybody go check out LaRue Creole Kitchen when you have a chance. And I'll probably definitely next weekend. When I get some more time off from work, that's going to be a point of mine. I'm gonna go ahead and check you guys out.
Yeah,
Make
man.
sure I go get a meal and support.
Come through. You guys come through. Check us out. Check my nephew out. My nephew is a trained chef, so he's not just some dude off the street. This dude is a trained chef. He went to school in Kentucky, to culinary school in Kentucky. So he's refined. He knows his taste palettes. Like his taste profiles are crazy. I was in the kitchen with him the other day. I mean, well, he had me tripping because the stuff that I was tasting, I'm like, what is that? How you get that flavor? And I'll be looking for that flavor when I do stuff. He like, I can't tell you, but that's it. Boom, boom, boom. So listen, you got to come check my nephew out. You got to come check out LaRue Creole Kitchen. Other than that, you also got to come check out Two Guys in a Mic on IG, on Facebook. Come check us out. Come comment, like some stuff. I try to put content out. I probably should be doing a better job of putting content out. So that's what my fault if I haven't been. But come check us out. We also have our YouTube page, Two Guys in a Mic on YouTube. Come check us out. We also have our audio streaming, which is Spotify, Apple Apple Podcasts.
Apple iTunes. You have Google Podcasts.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
Anchor.
There you go.
iTunes.
I be forgetting stuff. Wow, I feel like I'm in early onset sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
So come check us out.
On set 20 years ago.
But come check us out. We do this. We do it for us, but we also do it for you. You know, this is just a great outlet for us because of the type of people that we are. We need an outlet. We need a release because we bottle up all of this information and nobody gets to hear it but us. But now we have an avenue to put that out there. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. We love you guys. Anybody who keeps rocking with us, keep rocking with us. We ain't going nowhere. We're never going anywhere. We're going to keep this thing going no matter what's popping.
I think keep it going. Exactly.
We're going to keep it going. So, because that's what we do and that's who we are. And we enjoy this. Like we thoroughly enjoy speaking to you guys, but better than that, we enjoy talking to each other. I love Sean. Sean's like my brother. He's been around me long enough. He is a brother to me. And that's why I always say thank you to Sean. Thank you, man.
Most definitely. Thank you, bro. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. And, just look for us. We should have a show coming up next week.
Yep.
As well at some point. So that's what I'm saying. You like and subscribe and you get the little bell notification. You'll get a notification when we actually upload a new show, to our YouTube page. So we're going to bid you guys a good night. Ron, love you. Have a good week.
Love you too, bro.
And, we'll talk to you guys later.
Peace out, y'all.
Yep.